off the wire.
Oh! Oh! Oh, Santa! Oh my God, that was awesome!
Service, 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 forehand, 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 service, 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 backhand, 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 forehand, 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 between the legs, between the legs, between the legs, between the legs, service, service.
Quick badminton exercises.
This helps us get our chi back.
The wire shot! The wire shot! One of the other complications that we put on ourselves on purpose is playing into the wires. It forces your reflexes to react in ways that they don't normally have to in a standard game of badminton. Again, we hope this will eventually work to our advantage. Oh! Oh, Santa!
One of our techniques is very similar to the 70s technique that you're talking about with the smaller rackets, and we do some things.
And the short shorts.
And the short shorts and the wires that we
Oh, the wires.
The wires that we'll get to.
We'll
in one
get
of these
to that.
That we'll get to. But I'm just saying, we do some incredible cross-training techniques that
no one
else is doing.
No one.
That we sincerely and confidently believe is going to give us significant advantage against
Now,
all the other teams.
I'd like to talk a little bit about technique before we get into your training regime.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Your technique is unique.
Of course.
I've watched you for hours and hours. And hours. And I've watched you as you've joined him. And your technique your technique and his technique really don't seem to mesh well. In fact, you train against each other. And I think, well, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that gives you an advantage because you are training against somebody who may have an advantage against you because they're so different. Now, tell me a little bit about how you met and how you got to enjoy playing with each other.
How we
Well,
met.
I was gonna say, I mean, with Richard, the first time I saw him play was in Vienna. We were in a tournament, and it was one of my first international tours after being brought across the seas from South America.
Were you a professional or an amateur?
I was an amateur at the time,
I see.
and I was watching Richard play, and he dominated the midcourt. He absolutely dominated the midcourt, and I was watching him play, and I was just thinking to myself, with his center of gravity, with his ability to control the serve from a central location, if that were balanced against my skills as someone who has leverage, who has height, who has speed, who has the abilities that I have. Muscles, power, strength. If we could team up together, then there would be no other team that I have ever seen that could possibly beat us. So the biggest challenge has been, since that time, in my heart and mind, has been coordinating the tactical elements of his style of play with my style of play and creating a new amalgam of badminton that no other
Total new
that has
amalgam.
never been considered before.
That's beautiful.
And I think we're on the verge of it.
I like that.
We're on the verge of it.
Maybe.
Ho ho! Ho 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 ho! Ho ho ho! Not only is it necessary for us who are training for the Olympics of 2012 to provide our own showering facilities, our own equipment, but we also have to provide our own foodstuffs. And since we can't afford to grocery shop, we grow tomatoes.
Taiwanese on!
But seeing as you're going to be my partner in the Olympics, I'm loving it.
Oh! 2 points. Thanks.
Super Sky. One more time. We're back again with Richard Whiskey, part of the
prospective men's Olympic badminton team in 2012, and as you can see, badminton does not come without its fair share of injury. Isn't that true, Richard?
It is true. Sometimes, our bodies can take quite a beating, especially when you play at the level that we play at. Sometimes there are those shots that, you just have to take a chance at and go all out for. Because when you're in a real competition, sometimes it's that one point that got away that's going to cost you the match. But it's like not only do our bodies take beating, but so does our equipment. This is the shuttlecock that we used on the last volley. Just look at that. Look at that. I mean, we play hard.
How many?
By
how
the
many?
way, you know what this cock reminds me of, actually?
Go ahead and tell us.
This took a beating as bad as mine did during our last trip to Malaysia. Our host, Ying Mi, she was a gracious host.
Wow.
That reminds me of her.
How many shuttlecocks do you go through in a typical day of training?
Well, on the budget that we have, we go through usually 1 or 2.
1 or 2? That's all?
That's all we can afford right now.
Oh. So basically, you beat the hell out of that cock until it absolutely won't.
Look at that.
Is
Look at
not
that
is
cock.
useless.
Like this cock. I mean, we could probably whack
still
it
get
around
a
few more times.
Okay.
But the other member of the U.S. Olympic hopefuls for badminton is Enrique Valdez. How are you doing, Enrique?
Doing quite well, thank you.
How is training going?
Training is going... Well, we've had some stumbling blocks. We had to do some improvisation with the netting and with some of the supports to the badminton poles, and but we've had a great day of practice so far.
Very good. That's good to hear. Enrique, if you don't mind me asking a personal question, Enrique Valdez, heritage?
My mother is Guatemalan, and my father is from Cuba. And we grew up in Miami, in a suburb of Miami, where my interest in badminton really took off, if you will.
Before we go into your interest of badminton, was your mother native Guatemalan and your father native to Cuba?
Yes, I know. I get this question all the time. I don't appear very Hispanic, I know, but trust me, I'm Hispanic where it matters most.
We are sitting here at the U.S. Badminton Training Facility with Richard Whiskey, and he has been kind enough to offer us a few moments of his time in order to give us a little background regarding the U.S. badminton team and the training rigors they are going through in preparation for the 2012 Olympics. Richard Whiskey, thank you for being here with us.
Sure, my pleasure.
Tell us how you first became interested in badminton.
Badminton. Well, funny thing is, I mean, we used to play it at school. It was one of our activities, and I never gave too much thought to it, But it wasn't until the summer of, I believe it was 92, when it actually took off as an Olympic sport. And
yes, it was. It was 1992 was the first year that it was included as part of the Olympics officially.
And just watching them, I mean, some of those players just became instant heroes of mine. It was just the athleticism, the concentration.
Wayne Kimball.
Wayne Kimball. Oh, if he was still with us today, he'd, I think, be going for the gold. I think so.
Didn't Wayne Kimball write a thesis on badminton and or not badminton itself, but actually
it was kind of
history of badminton and the origin of the cock?
The origin of the
cock. Shuttlecock, I mean.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, sometimes you hear people refer to it as a birdie.
Sure.
Well, that's because the first games it actually was a bird. What they did, and it kind of flies like today's shuttlecock, where you have like a rounded bottom and what they call either feathers or wings to kind of slow it down. In the olden times, they did that with actual birds. I believe they started off with sparrows, and they'd take the sparrows and, they took one whack at it and the thing just fly away. So to prevent the sparrow from flying away, they would just break the sparrow's wings.
Ooh, okay.
A little brutal.
Yeah, a little
I don't
barbaric.
condone something like that, but this is the history.
Yeah, I mean, was it the origin of this game somewhere back, like during the 500s, during the early Anglo-Saxon era of Britain?
Right. But one more interesting fact about the original birdie. It was no longer flying away, but sometimes the feet would get stuck in the racket.
Ooh.
So they decided to eliminate the feet from the bird.
Please hold on one second. We have a motorcyclist, or I believe actually those are the. Isn't that the?
I think that's our caravan.
The motocross, or is that our caravan?
That's our caravan.
Or, yeah. Okay. Anyway, please continue.
So then, they would simply just cut off the legs of the birds and break their wings, and apparently it worked pretty well.
Is it also true that they invented a children's version of the game where they would use eggs that were nearly ready to hatch, and they would actually begin the volley with the egg, and then the birdie would come out of the egg as they would play?
Yes. And it evolved into, I think, they would actually have like all these eggs around, and once one started to hatch, right when the beak would poke through,
that's it.
That's volley time.
Oh my
volley
goodness.
time.
Point whiskey. Oh, Santa!
Uh-oh. Thought that was going to be off the wire.
That was the play I was going for.
Nice. Oh!
Santa!
Looks like both players are trying to take advantage of the wires. Enrique.
Yes.
So it comes to my attention that, in your training, you guys were planning on being a competitor when it comes to 2012,
Right.
but you had a remarkable game where you actually beat the top-seeded Chinese player, and all the games were close, but the final one, it was a blowout. I wouldn't say complete blowout, but when you're playing the Chinese, score of 21-12, is that true? Very good, very good. So I hear that against lesser opponents that you actually strive to get that score. That's the score you want to beat them by.
That's the score that I always want to win. Yeah, by. And I mean, it has led to some matches that were a lot closer than they may have been. I was playing the Norwegian player Hans Frestzen, and I was actually up 20-5, and I just let him get points all the way the next 7, and then he got on a roll and got the score up to 20-18, but I closed it out at that point, but still, I mean, I will not allow any score, I will not allow the difference in any game to be greater than 9 points unless somebody actually does beat me after I let them get 12 points.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another nice fact from the American teams. Olympic hopefuls, 2012.
Thank you very much. It hits the wire first, it's in play.
That's cool.
Nice! It's force of habit.
Tell them what Santa actually means.
Oh. When we originally created badminton, yeah, that's true. Yes, we created badminton doubles. We'd say setup, but you know, in the heat of the competition, it sounded like Santa. So it's been a tradition ever since.
My backhand needs a little improvement. That's what we're trying to work on here.
Nice form.
It's interesting that you then met Dick, who grew up playing badminton.
Well, I was very fortunate. I played a lot. You know, it was part of our curriculum in high school. But to be honest, at that time, I just did not appreciate it. And I was not drawn to it at that time. It was just something, you know, we had to do for gym class.
Like climbing the rope.
Exactly.
Wrestling the big boys.
Well, kind of like that. But, yeah, I mean, it was just, you know, another activity that we did. Dodgeball, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't
Do they
until...
play badminton differently in Poland? I know Polish people have some problems.
Well, actually, I moved here before getting acclimated to the Polish version of badminton.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right.
You shoot under the net in Poland.
Well, we did a lot of that, but I mean, to score by doing that, you actually have to hit the cock really hard, and it's got to be able to bounce and come up underneath their net, and they have to have a chance to return for you to get a point.
More like ping pong.
No, not at all.
Speaking of ping pong.
Seems to gravitate towards it, really. Oh, the form was phenomenal.
Your back keeps on getting in the back of it, though.
Oh.
I think it'll be funny, though. You're just gonna see your back right to your racket like this.
quality.
That was Olympic quality.
Oh, shuttlecock humor.
Oh!
Wow.
When one of our players gets too cocky, we just kind of say they get, you know, dude, you're getting a little shuttled. That's what happened to me. I got shuttled.
Shuttled. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Gotta hurt.
That one hurt. But oh, nice! Nice form.